morning, third graders. Welcome to Wednesday, May 13th. And today we are studying fractions. We're going to continue our fraction study. You guys are doing a super job. Let's just review a little bit about what you've learned already. You have learned about a numerator and a denominator, okay? The denominator is what we divide our whole piece into. So if we have a whole cookie, yum, remember those chocolate chip cookies? And we divide it into 4 pieces, okay? We cut it into 4 pieces. That is our denominator. That's our denominator. It means, I think of the D, and it's what we've divided our whole piece into. So let's just say we divided that whole piece of cookie into 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's our denominator. The numerator is the number of parts that we're going to take out of that, all right? It's the number, N-U-M, number of parts that we're going to take out of that whole, out of those divided pieces. And so if I were going to share 1/2 of that, or 2/4, I would take 2 out of the 4 pieces and give it to Ming Mei and maybe Mr. Simonowski. So then I would have 2 pieces for myself. I know I love chocolate chip cookies, so I'd probably get a little bit more than them. I'd have 2 pieces and they would each have 1. So they would each have actually 1. That's the number I might give to Mr. Simonowski, and then Ming Mei, I might give her 1/4. So 1 out of the 4 pieces I'll give to each of them. Okay, that's our numerator and our denominator, right? It's going to show you a little bit more. We used circles last week, right, to talk about the different sizes of fractions. So let's look, we divided this one into 4ths, okay? Let's divide this one let's divide it into 3rds. Okay, let's see if I can do that. Not very good at 3rds, but that's pretty good. And now let's look at that with maybe a red. I'm going to shade, let's get rid of this. I'm going to take 1 piece out of my 3 pieces, so that would be 1/3, right? 1/3, I'll write it here, 1/3. It's hard for me to write on this side. Okay, and then I'm just going to take 1/4 here, okay, and give that to somebody. And last week we talked about, or not last week, but just yesterday, Monday and Tuesday, we talked about the sizes, right? We compared sizes of fractions. So we noticed that when we have a bigger denominator, so 4 is bigger than 3, right? This is cut into 4 pieces, this is cut into 3. That is actually our smaller piece. Even though it's a bigger denominator, it makes sense, right? So the smaller the pieces are, the smaller piece that you get if I pull it out compared to the 3rd. This one's divided into 3 pieces, so one of those is much bigger, or quite a bit bigger, than the 1/4. It's skinnier. Now if I divided these, let's divide them into 8. I should use my black. Let's divide them into 8 pieces. Okay, I now have 8 pieces. Okay. I've divided that into 8. So now my number here changes to an 8 because my denominator, what I've divided it into, is 8 pieces. Now is 8 bigger than 3? Yes, that's a much bigger number, but the pieces are smaller because that's how many I divided them into. So a 1/8 is definitely smaller piece than a 1/3. Okay, let's look at, we also compared, let's use the black. We also compared rectangles and squares. Doesn't really matter what you compare, but we could make this into, let's try to make it into 4ths. Okay, there we go. We can make that one into 4ths. I'm gonna scoot over here on this side, it's easier. And we're gonna make this one into fourths. And then I'm gonna make this one, now I'm gonna cut everything, I'm gonna add an extra piece into all these 4 pieces and make it into 8ths. Now you can really see the difference, right? If I cut a sliver, 1/8 of a piece of, let's say this is a Pop-Tart. Do you guys like Pop-Tarts? I love Pop-Tarts. I never have them, but I love them. What if I cut a piece out of my 8 pieces and I gave it to you? Let's say I gave that little piece to Jasmine and then to Sarah, I gave her this 1 out of 4 pieces. So this is 1 out of 4. This is 1 out of 8. Which piece is smaller? Yes, it's the 1/8, the one with the bigger denominator. Denominator's down. I taught a song to this last year. Maybe I'll teach it to you right now. All I did was, we did this in class. We'd stand to sing this song because we would say, numerators up and denominators down. 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 If it helps you to sing it to a song, there you go. Okay, that's what we've done our last 2 days, is we've compared fractions by looking at them. But if you can remember that if the denominator, what you divide it into, is a lot more, then the piece is going to be smaller. Okay, the fraction is going to be smaller if the numerator is the same. These are the same, 1 and 1, 1 and 1. Okay, I hope that helps for that. Now, this week, we are doing, this week is the same as the week we were learning this, sorry, but today, Wednesday and Thursday, we are going to do equivalent fractions. Okay, and Mrs. Simnowski loves songs, so I have a song for equivalent fractions. If you look at this word, and you start with that part, maybe EQU, what other word starts with EQU? I'm going to write it here. EQU. I bet Ian got it. Equal. Equal. So when we say equivalent fractions, we're talking about fractions that are equal to each other. But guess what? They have different denominators. They're cut in different pieces, but I'm going to show you how you can figure out if they are equal to each other, okay? But let's sing our song first. It goes to the tune of Faire Jacques, okay? And each of these lines, we say them twice. So we say equivalent fractions are different ways of naming the same fraction, of the same whole, Let's sing it again, and you guys sing it with me. Equivalent fractions are different ways of naming the same fraction, of the same whole, Now, I'm going to show you just by a piece of paper. Dun, da, da, dun, right here, piece of paper. This is a whole piece of paper, okay? And I'm going to cut it into 2 pieces. Well, I'm not going to cut it, I'm going to fold it into 2 pieces so that it is, now I have 2 halves, right? I have a half here and a half here. So remember, 2 2s or 2 halves equals 1 whole. All right, so let's just write that, okay? I'm going to write that up here on the board, that this is divided into 2 2s. But what I want to show you is that right now, we're just going to look at one of these 2's, okay? It's divided into 2 pieces, so that's our denominator. Remember, denominator is down. it's divided into two pieces. And I want us to talk about just one of these pieces. So 1/2 of my whole. Now you guys can do this, and you should do this because it helps to just see it visually. Now I'm gonna fold each of my halves into another half by just folding that into the middle, boom, and folding this into the middle, like that, like so. So you could do this easily. Now you're gonna fold it into, what is it now? It's divided into how many, Anna? It's divided into 4 pieces now, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. I think you can see those folds pretty good. Okay, it's into 4 pieces. Now, remember, I said we're just gonna look at this half, right? But now we've divided into 4 pieces. Let's do it in a red. Now we've divided it into 4 pieces. How many of those pieces are the same as 1/2? Matthew, you got it. 2 of these. 1, 2. 1, 2. 2 of those pieces are the exact same as 1/2. Okay? So 2. 2 of the 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, it's divided into 4 pieces. 2 of them is the same as the 1/2. So 1/2 equals 2/4. Okay. Now we're going to keep folding. Okay. Now we're going to fold each of these 4 pieces in half. I'm going to do it as best as I can while I'm on camera here. Okay, I'm going to fold that one in half. I'm going to fold. You can actually just kind of fold them like that. And then I'm going to fold that one in half. Then I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to fold this one in half. Okay, now remember, parents, this would be a great exercise to do with your kids, just for fun. When we're finished here, get a piece of paper out and start folding it into different sections and see which ones are the same equivalents. Okay, so we're folding that, and then we're folding it in half again. Now I've divided this whole piece of paper, it's the same paper, into, let's count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pieces. Do you see that? Now it has 8 pieces out of my whole. Let's use a blue one for that. Let me have a better blue. Maybe not. I don't think this is a very good blue. Oh, here it is. Here's my blue. Sorry. Okay, so we just divided this into 8 pieces. How many pieces of the 8 pieces would equal 1/2? How many would equal 1/2? Here's the 1/2. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. Grady, if you said 4, you got it right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 eighths equals 1/2. Do you see that? 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 8 pieces is the same as 1/2. It's also the same as, I'm gonna do lines here for my fourths. It's also the same as 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 2 of those, 2/4. So those are all equivalent fractions right there. They're all equal. It works with, other symbols too, other shapes. Let's do a circle. No, actually, you know what? I was gonna do 2 rectangles. Let's do 2 rectangles here. I'm actually gonna draw them so that you can see them. I'm gonna use black. Okay. I have this little scratchy piece here that I have to draw over. It's kind of distracting, so try to ignore it. In fact, but I'm gonna do that above it. Okay, so we're gonna draw the exact same rectangle here. Woo, it's hard to do that while I'm on the camera. Okay, there's one. And then we're going to draw one more. Okay. Here. Woo. 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 Oops, I hit my finger. Okay, there we go. Okay, same rectangle. Right? Now let's show this with some red ink. Uh-oh, my phone is telling me things. Okay. Sorry, this video is going to be a little longer today because it takes a little longer to talk about equivalent fractions, and I want to make sure you guys understand how to do them. So we have the same rectangle, and I'm going to show you how you get the same equal fractions. Okay, we're going to divide it into half. Well, let's just do this. Let's use this as our measuring rod, and hopefully we'll get it kind of in half there. Oops. Okay. Now we're going to take these and divide them into fourths, okay? So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, let's see, Chloe. If you shaded in 1/2 of this fraction, is it the same as 2/4? This one's divided into 4 pieces, right? Yes, it is. Very good. So 2/4, again, is the same as 1/2. 1/2, 2/4. Now let's erase that and let's look at thirds. Let's divide it into thirds this time. Okay, let's erase. And let's see if it works the same for thirds. Okay, sorry, this is a little slow here, but okay, there we go. Now we're going to divide it into thirds. I'm going to guess kind of on my thirds. I'm going to go, that's about a third probably, in a third. And now, let's divide, okay, so we're going to make this into thirds too. Now let's divide this one into sixths, right? No, 1, 2, 3, 4, yes. Okay, so we're going to go half, half, half. Okay, so this one is divided into sixths, all right? So Samuel, is if it's divided into 6 pieces, is that our numerator or denominator? Yes, it's our denominator. It's what we divided the whole piece in. Numerator's up and denominator's down, okay? It's the bottom one. So it's divided into 6 pieces. This one is divided into thirds, right? 3 pieces. Okay, and we're gonna shade, let's just go here. Let's just go to this one. Okay, we're gonna shade 2 of these, and one of those are equivalent. They're the same amount. So, two pieces out of 6 pieces is the same as 1 out of 3 pieces. Now, for fun, what if we divided this one into, let's divide these all in half. Again, so now, how many pieces, Levi, do we have? We should have 12, right? Because we doubled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We have 12 pieces. Our denominator is 12 pieces. We have shaded in 4 of those now. And so 4 twelfths is the same as 1/3. Isn't that so cool? Now I'm going to show you another trick because some of you guys are visual learners. That means it helps you to see the bars and the circles and see the shapes and see the fractions shaded in. But some of you love formulas, right? Okay, I know I like both. I like to see it and I do like formulas. And so if you look at this, we started off with, let's look at this. We have, put these down. We started off with 1/3, right? 1/3. And then we divided this into, we had 2 6, right? So we had 2 6, so those are equal. And then we changed it to 4 12s. Remember that? Now, this is our formula. If you have, well, I want you to look at this. And you are basically multiplying by something to get to the next equivalent fraction. Well, what did you do here? 3 times 2 equals 6, doesn't it? Okay, well, if this works here, it has to be the exact same formula to work here. So, is 1 times 2, 2? Yes, it is. 1 times 2 is 2. Let's try it here. Let's look at it this way. 2 times what is 4? 2 times 2. Well, does that work here? Is 6 times 2 12? Yes, it is. So you could just use this formula. You could say 12 times 2 is 24. That means if we cut this rectangle into 24 pieces, then to find the equivalent to that, we would multiply this one by 2 as well. What's 4 times 2, Jasmine? It's 8. Yes, right, very good. Okay, now let's keep working on this formula and let's see if it works with different numbers. Let's try this formula with different numbers. Oh, you know what? I'm going to erase this because we're not doing this right now. We are doing equivalence. Let me think here. Let me look at our book. Our book will show us that you're going to want to match. Okay, here's a good one. Let's do this. We're going to use this one more time because this is handy. Sorry, guys. But you can, this is good for you. You can just sit there and eat your cookie or your fruit or whatever good thing your mom gave you to munch on while you're watching Mrs. Simonowski do her video here. Okay, we're going to do 2 triangles again. Or, not triangles. Okay. Sorry. 2 rectangles here. We could do triangles. They're just a little harder to do without lots of measuring tools. Okay. So, we have 2 rectangles that are exactly the same. And we're going to divide this one in half. And we're going to divide that one in half. It's not quite half, but it's close. Okay, so I just feel like this needs to come out a little bit more. Okay, so we have half, one, these are divided into 2 pieces, right? We're going to divide this one into a lot more. We're going to divide it into 4ths. Now we're going to divide it into 8ths. Okay, now let's shade in. Let's shade in. I want to get a bigger number, so I'm gonna really make this high. We're gonna divide these in half too. So now we have 16 pieces. 16 pieces, and we're gonna divide this one into 4ths. Is that right? Okay, I want to make them the same. Okay, so now this one's divided into 4ths. This one's divided into 16ths. So we're going to put, so we have this one that's divided into 4ths. Well, okay, the denominator is 4ths, right? And this one is 16ths, divided into 16ths. Now let's shade some of this. Let's shade 2 of these. Okay, and so Miriam, what do we got here? We have 2 4ths, right? 2 of those. Oh, I keep switching the wrong pens. Okay, so we have 2/4, right? The exact same amount, the equivalent fraction is going to be this. It's going to go all the way to there, right? And so Evie, how many of the 16ths did I just shade? How many of the 16ths? I shaded 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8/16. So look at this one. 2/4 is the same as 8/16. Let's write out our formula. 2/4 equals 8/16. Now what do I multiply here or here? Let's start. This one's easier. Okay. Ethan. What would I multiply? 2 times what is 8? Yes, 4. So I'm going to make this little arrow. 2 times 4 is 8. I have to use the same one for here. I have to multiply it by the same number. So is 4 times 4 16? Yes, it is. It sure is. 4 times 4 is 16. So this is our formula. So you're going to have some, I think in lesson 31, it's going to ask you to find equivalents. So let's look at this formula and see if it works. Well, it does. It does work. So you're going to see it, how easy it is to use this formula when you're trying to find an equivalent fraction. Okay. So let's say that I give you this fraction, 1/4, and I said, what? Okay. I said, what does it equal? If I gave you a cookie divided into fourths, and then I gave you a cookie divided into 16ths, how many 16ths do I need to make it the same as 1/4? How many 16ths, Gage, do I need? Well, if you use the formula, you're going to use it here, because we don't know this number, but 4 times what, Liam, is 16. Yes, very good. 4 times 4 is 16. And so, Neil, you're going to use the same formula to find the equivalent. 1 times, what'd you use down here? You used 4. 1 times 4 is 4. So 1/4, if you gave me 1/4 of that cookie, and then you have another cookie and it's divided into 16 pieces, you would give me 4 of those 16 pieces to make it the exact same as 1/4. Isn't that cool math to figure that out? I love it. Okay, so let's try a couple more. Okay. Let's do, here's one we haven't done. Let's say we have 2/5. And we want to know what is the equivalent if I have 10 pieces of a cookie. If I have a cookie and it's divided into 10 pieces, how can I give you the same amount if I want to give you 2/5? How many tenths would I give you? Well, let's do our formula. 5 times what, Anna, is 10? Yes, it is 2. 5 times 2 is 10, so we're going to use the same number here to find the equivalent fraction. So Sarah, what is it? Yes, it is. 2 times 2 is 4. And so 2/5 is the same as 4/10. I love doing equivalent fractions. They're so fun. Now, if you have pieces of paper, your math book is also going to show you another way that you can look at this. They're going to show you these strips. Okay, they're basically rectangles. They're going to give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. I don't know if I'm going to do that many, but they're going to show you strips like this. And basically, they're just showing you this, so if you're a visual, like you like to see it in order to do it, if you don't want to just do the formula, but you want to see it in action, then they're going to give you strips in your math book, and they're going to divide them. So we've got 1/2, 1/2, 1/2, 1/2. Oops, that's bad. It's got to be the same. Okay, 1/2. Ugh. Bear with me, and 1/2. Okay, and then they're gonna divide that into 4. Oops, no they're not. They're gonna divide this one into 4ths. 4 and 4. Then they're gonna divide this one into 8ths. Okay. And then they're gonna divide this one into 16ths. They're giving you lots of ones to look at. Basically just dividing all of these in half. So now you have 16ths. And then this one is, oh, you know what? They're doing it a little different. They're doing it by 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, 1/5. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. But they're just showing you strips so that you can see what the equivalent is, okay? And so if you're a visual learner, then all you have to do is color in, you know, or in your head, think that 1/2 is the same as 2/4. Okay? If this one was divided into tenths, you could figure out what its equivalent is based on the strips that it's showing you. I hope I didn't confuse you. I hope that makes sense. Your parents are very smart and they can kind of show you how to look at those strips in your math book and how to see an equivalent fraction. A fraction that's the same as another fraction, even though the denominator, even though it's divided into different pieces. Okay? I think I've covered pretty much everything that you will need to know for this lesson. If not, I did have a couple of kids call me last week or email me to ask for help, and I love that, so be sure you know to do that. Otherwise, you guys have a blessed day, and know that Mrs. Simonowski misses you, and I'm praying for you and your families. All right, we'll see you next time.